Hello everybody, it's Monica Heltz with your daily Fishers Health Department update. Today is Tuesday, October the 6th, and because it's Tuesday, it's time to review our community risk rating scale. We are going to stay in yellow again this week. Nothing much has changed regarding the metrics from last week. Our percent positivity rate from the county is at 6.1%. Our Fishers testing site was at 4.67% at the last check. Our case incidence rate on a 14-day rolling average was at 11.78, which is still in our orange zone. The other two metrics are on the green and the yellow zone. If these numbers don't quite match up with what you see when we post this, there is some time delay between getting this video caption for you. So just a caveat, check out the dashboard for the latest figures if they don't quite match. Again, no real trends that have changed over the coming week. So, we're not drastically going up or drastically going down. Nothing really much has changed in the form of the metrics. So those primary metrics of the percent positivity and the case incidence rate, those are our community transmission metrics. Those are really what we look to when we decide what is our community risk rating scale. If you're confused about what that means for you, I would remind you that we have the full table of recommendations available on our website, and you can review those. If you're a high-risk individual, we have specific recommendations for you. If you're an average risk individual, we have specific recommendations for you. And again, we'll be putting something out very shortly about holiday activities and ways to decrease your risk around those. Halloween, Thanksgiving, all of those things. So be on the lookout for those. The secondary and tertiary metrics that we typically review on Tuesdays as well. The first one is our public health capacity. So our testing site remains very available. We are at about half capacity right now. So if you have any question, if you are wondering if you should get tested, if you're having symptoms, or if you've been in contact with somebody with COVID, I would encourage you to get tested, take advantage of our free testing site, or get tested wherever you like. We are using the PCR test. It's a nasal swab. It's not very painful. It just goes inside your nostril a little bit. It doesn't go all the way back to your brain, or doesn't feel like it's going back to your brain. There are other tests out there where you may get the results a little bit faster. Those typically are antigen tests. Ours, again, is a PCR. It typically is taking at this point about 24 hours. So it's definitely in our green zone as far as testing availability and turnaround time. Most of the other labs have a pretty good turnaround time right now as well, regardless of the type of lab they're using. Some of them hit little blocks occasionally. So you may call whatever the facility is that you're using to see what their average turnaround time is before you go out there. Our contact tracing is in the same place. We're able to get a hold of people pretty quickly. If it's our team that's involved, if you were tested at our site, we'll most likely be the ones to call you. If you get tested somewhere else and you're positive, it'll probably be somebody from the state that reaches out to you first because they get the first notice of that. Please do answer the phone, and please do participate in the contact tracing activities. This really is the best way to get ahead of this. And we look forward to answering your questions if you have any. The tertiary metric that we also look to for context would be our healthcare system capacity. That remains pretty well. We have heard national reports of places like Wisconsin starting to fill up and those kinds of things as our cases increase. Right now in central Indiana, we're doing well. Our hospitalizations are decreased this week. Our deaths are decreased. Everything else is kind of staying about steady. So our healthcare system capacity is in our green level for community risk as well this week. So that's all good news. So far, so good on the school issues. We continue to have cases at every grade level. We've had quite a few over the weekend, more than probably on average more than one a day, I would say, as far as positive cases. And then, of course, those result in quite a lot of quarantines as well. So I would encourage you to pay attention to those guidelines. We know they work. You may also start hearing some things in the national news and elsewhere about super spreader events. So we're not sure what bearing this has as it relates to schools yet. We haven't seen, at least in our schools, a super spreader event. We have had a few community events that appear to be possibly in that category where there was a party and quite a lot of individuals tested positive from that event, similar to what you may have heard about in the national news. So just things to be aware of. Just another fun wrinkle for this disease to throw at us as we move forward. Again, this week we're staying in yellow, no real changes from the metrics, and we'll keep an eye on this for you. Feel free to reach out with questions. Thanks so much. You guys take care.